Good afternoon, everyone. Well, welcome to IPDAE's start of the year with Florida IPDAE. We're so glad you could join us today. We wanted to start your school year with an update from Florida IPDAE. Well, I'm June Rawl, and I'm so glad to be with you today. Thank you for joining us. I'm joined with Bonnie Gooden, our national consultant for Florida IPDAE, and together we're going to walk you through some really exciting work that we've been working on, and we're so excited to share it with all of you today. Before we get started, let's quickly go over some housekeeping rules. Your microphones are muted and you are in listen-only mode. This webinar, like all webinars, are recorded and they are archived on the IPDAE website for later viewing. Today's webinar is interactive and we want to hear from you. So please type all your questions, comments, whatever you want to say in that Q&A section that's on your screen. Bonnie and I will address them throughout the webinar. And remember that your attendance today is archived in your individual portal account. So today we're going to be discussing, let me review some of our objectives. In today's webinar, we're going to talk to you about some exciting projects that we have that we're going to present to you for 1920. We're excited about rolling out some fall regional workshops. I'm really excited to reveal the first set of these workshops, which we've already prepared. Bonnie will later get into depth with this and explain what this first set of regional workshops will look like. So we'll dive into that a little bit later. And of course, we're going to look at some resources that are available. We're always updating and creating and loading new resources for you. So today we're going to spend some time at looking at some new work that we've been working on. I wanted to just give some credit to the Florida Department of Education. We all know that none of this could be possible if it wasn't for the support and guidance that we receive from the Florida Department of Education. So I wanted to take a moment to thank them and also take a moment to recognize a new member of the Florida Department of Education Adult Education Program, Patrick Wright. So welcome, Patrick. If you get a chance and if you're at the ACE conference, go and introduce yourself to Patrick. We're excited about this new addition to the Adult Education, Florida Department of Education staff. And Patrick, we're happy that you could join us today and we welcome your expertise going forward. As you know, IPDAE's purpose is focused on high priority goals that are established by the Florida Department of Education. We are constantly working on the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act, things that we need to do to support that, college and career readiness standards, and FICAPS, which now we call the Integrated Education and Training. Our efforts support around the key areas of adult education, adult basic education, GED, adult high school, ESOL, and we're working very closely with the Department of Correction for those who are serving in those facilities to offer some workshops that are specific for you. I just wanted to review some resources that we have online with IPDAE, and I want you to go back and look at some of these because we are always looking at ways to keep this site updated and, you know, keeping it on the cutting edge. So we've done some site enhancements to the website. For an example, on the online event calendar, you can see year-to-year events. You can view the events month-to-month or like a 3-month view. You can print it, etc. If you look in your portal account, you're going to now see how you can access like a call to action link for all the key portal resources. So we're making this really easy for you to be able to navigate through and make the site enhancements up to date. Remember that there's also tutorials out there under the FAQ button on the website, where if you forget how things are done, you can always go back and look at those tutorials. So let's talk about a quick review of what we have in focus. We're working on these first set of workshops, which Bonnie is going to explain to you in a few minutes, and it's called Unlocking the Learning. It's really a major focus on ABE and ESOL in the areas of math and reading. We are working very closely with the REL, the Regional Education Laboratory workshops. I'm going to talk about those in depth later. And we are working on a correction piece, a workshop that is specific for those who are serving in the correction facilities. So we are partnering with the Florida Department of Education, of course, the Regional Educational Labs, and the Department of Corrections. The math matrices, we're going to show you later how we have really taken this thing live now, and it's really some exciting work that I really cannot wait to share with you a little later in this presentation. There's going to be a lot of webinars and Tabe certification updates, lots of stuff coming from the field from Florida adult education practitioners. So we've been really hard at work. At this point, I'm going to take a pause, and I don't see any questions, Bonnie, so I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of tell us a little bit about, walk us through this exciting work ahead of us with these upcoming workshops.
Okay, June, thanks a lot. We do have upcoming workshops, and in the past, we've really focused a lot on the GED level. But what we're doing this fall is something a little bit different. We're going to be focusing on what those NRS level 2 and 3 are. So basically an ABE level 2 and 3, both in math and reading. Why are we doing that? Well, quite honestly, that's where many of our students kind of stall. Those are the kinds of skills that are definitely foundational skills, and if they don't have those, they're not going to be able to progress like we want them to, and of course like they want them to. The other thing is we've not been focusing in recent past on those levels. So because of the number of students that we have in programs at those levels, both ABE and ESOL, and the aspect that there's some skills there that we know from the stats need to be honed, it's a great time to start working with it. We're also going to be, besides the fall workshop, doing regional trainings for the correctional settings. And those workshops will be designed based upon the feedback that we're getting from the correctional field. Different types of surveys are going out right now or in the near future, and there again, like all the workshops we do, we take what we hear from the field, we put it with the statistics that are out there, and the area of development focuses on those too. As June said, the other upcoming workshops will be out of REL, and those types of things, again, are going to build upon what's been done in the last couple years. And don't forget, there's always IPDAE folks at the different conference presentations, so to make sure that everyone knows about IPDAE as well as the resources. So if you're at a conference, if you're at ACE, literacy, etc., make sure you join the IPDAE folks to learn a little bit more. But before we go any further, let's dig just a little bit deeper into the fall workshop. And as June said, it's going to be called Unlocking the Learning to Build Resilient Learners, which is what we want our students, especially at that level, to really learn to be, because they've got a long way to go. Many times when you ask an adult ed student, okay, you're going to class, what are you doing? Well, they'll say, well, I'm a GED student, I'm going to get my GED. The problem is that many of those students may be at a grade equivalency of a 3.0 or a 4.0 or a 5.0, and we know they're not going to get to that adult secondary level within a couple months. So we need to build their resiliency so that they can persist until they reach their goal. So this fall, we're going to have those regional face-to-face workshops focusing very strongly on those NRS levels 2 and 3. Like in the past, what we're going to do is a very interactive format and provide each of the attendees with the access to a scripted PowerPoint. Why is that important? Well, many of you go on behalf of your school, your district, your college, your literacy organization, and you're told, bring back the information. Well, sometimes you're even asked to bring back the information and present at our school to our teachers. So having a scripted PowerPoint allows you to go back and kind of get that memory going of, yeah, that's what they said. You're also going to be provided, of course, with the workbook, the guide with materials, lots of strategies and hands-on. IPDAE firmly believes that when you attend a workshop that you should be able to go back the next day, so to speak, and implement something that you've learned. Just as a kind of a sneak preview, when I say the word close reading to most instructors, they'll say, oh yes, I know I need to teach that to students, but my goodness, it is so complex. And close reading can be a complex skill because we talk about the first reads to get the gist, and we talk about the second reads to dig deeper, and the third read to analyze. And oftentimes, we inundate our students with too much. So this workshop is really going to be about integrating close reading at those very beginning levels instead of expecting that GED close reading skill. And we want our students to, again, be engaged. We don't want them to be frustrated and turned off. So this workshop is going to be one where we engage at different levels. We will teach basic annotation, basic questionings, and we'll have resources that are written at the appropriate level for those NRS levels 2 and 3. So if you've wondered how to get close reading into your ABE classroom, how to engage those students instead of them saying, you mean I have to read this 3 times? I don't think so. Then this part of the workshop we hope you'll find extremely engaging as well. Now, the other part of the workshop is going to be math. And after all the years I've spent in the field, as I ask teachers, what's one of the major issues you see in your ABE math class? What's one of the things your students just have a difficult time doing? One of the first things that comes out of their mouths is fractions. So when we're looking at this fall workshop, we're going to be dealing not only with close reading in math, problem solving, such as the Rice method, but also how fractions cover so many of the different domains, and what are some strategies and manipulatives you can take back to teach students that it's not just about fractions, 1/2 plus 3/4, but also how we integrate fractions into the different domains, and of course, how we use close reading and hands-on strategies to teach the world of fractions. So there again, if fractions has continued to be your issue, or word problems with students, and again, remember, we're talking at that NRS levels 2 and 3, I guarantee you will have things to take back to your classroom immediately. So that's the fall workshop. If you wonder, well, how do I see where this workshop is being offered? Know that everything is up on Florida IPDAE right now that you can register. And you'll notice, as June was talking, that this whole listing of scheduled events is out there for you to take a look and say, I'm close to this county, and so this would be a great date for me to attend. Please, if you think you're attending, register now, because all workshops, of course, have to have a minimum number, and we try not to lock out folks with a maximum number, but we know some locations do have lots of folks who want to attend. So please go out to Florida IPDAE if this is of interest to you and register now. We have been doing Webinar Wednesdays for some time, and each year we have a little different focus. We have new presenters, and this year is the same thing. So we have a number of Webinar Wednesdays that are coming your way. And like in the past, as you start attending these, hopefully starting next week as well, you will see that you'll have guided notes. So there again, you can take these webinars back to your local school district, college, literacy center. PowerPoints are scripted, and there will be activity books and guides filled with things for your classroom. Just to kind of give you a taste of some of the titles, you'll notice here next week we're going to do something on visual literacy. We haven't done anything on visual literacy in some time. We're also going to be focusing on the Tabe 11 and 12. Hopefully we're all kind of used to that by now, but there again, there's lots to learn with it. Of course, we're going to continue to do things with math. And a couple of very interesting things that you may not have seen before. We're going to do some things focusing on packaging your professional development and some critical factors that impact NRS data. And again, we don't want to forget that. We also have a lot of ESOL folks out there. So there will be some webinars addressing the reading and listening items that are on the CASAS test. Of course, if you can't attend, just note that all webinars are archived on the IPDAE website, so don't lose sight of the fact you may want to go back and say, I didn't get to go to that one, but I'm interested. Please access them. You'll hear this from the IPDAE folks a lot, that it is indeed by educators and for educators. IPDAE's always looking for new ideas and more ideas to share with the field. And we have another new idea, because a major focus in 2019-20 is going to be how to incorporate the webinars that we offer with some face-to-face training locally. If that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned for more on this during 2019-20, because this innovative idea has been developed, again, by a local educator. And that's really what IPDAE is all about, by educators, for educators. June, it's also about partnerships. So share with us a little bit about the partnerships.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'm really excited about this partnership that we've developed with the Department of Corrections. We recognize that many of you serve in a correction facilities and you are limited to resources that you really can't use. So in collaboration with the DOC, the Florida Department of Education, IPDAE, and subject matter experts in the field of corrections, we are going to organize 4 regional workshops that will address specific needs for this clientele. So we're really excited to roll out these regional workshops. We don't have the locations yet. We're working with DOC to finalize that, but I will tell you that they will be in the Panhandle in Vernon County, Union County, Orlando, and Martin County, and we'll probably start these off at the end of October. So stay tuned on that. We are also going to be, like all IPDAE workshops, it's not just a one-stop PD. So we're going to circle back around with webinars that are going to be focused on related topics that can assist all of you who are serving in those settings. I wanted to also bring to your attention that very soon you're going to see an electronic mailing that's going to go out to you, and it's going to be a very short questionnaire. We want you to answer that questionnaire so we can get, we can kind of get a pulse on what you feel is important for things that we need to be addressing in these workshops. So lots of great stuff, and we definitely applaud the DOC and Florida Department of Education for working with us on this. We're going to also continue our work with the regional educational laboratories. We've done a lot of work with them in the past. Many of you know about the self-study guide that we implemented last year. This is now in a final stage of submission with the IES grant. So it's going to be a nationally publicized piece of work directly associated for adult education. But this year, what we're going to focus on with the REL group is these workshops will focus on adult education graduates that transition to post-secondary trainings. And we want to really look and hone in on new approaches to career counseling that are really specific to adult education. There's lots of work that we've been doing with this. We're a part of a Florida Career Readiness Research Alliance group, which has people from the Articulation Department, the Florida Department of Education, Career Source, and last but not least, we are partnering with Georgia, the Vice President for Economic Development. Many of you might know him, Dr. Brent Stubbs, and Dr. Kiana Good, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Adult Education, excuse me, in the technical college system. We're looking at really building a framework on how we can really identify this IET program and develop a conceptual framework of how that's going to work. So really exciting stuff. I'm really excited about it.
Okay, June, that sounds great. I'm going to stop here for just a second. We have a comment and we have a question before we get into this exciting thing called the matrix. One of the questions is whether there will be, or whether there is, a Spanish language version of Tabe 11 and 12. And no, there's not. The Data Recognition Corporation, which is, they're the folks who publish the Tabe. They do not have a Spanish language version of Tabe 11 and 12, nor is it in development. I know they've done some pretty massive research and, you know, have not found the demand, primarily because what the Tabe's purpose is to assess mastery of the college and career readiness standards, which are, quote, English-speaking standards. So there again, Tabe 11 and 12 is not in Spanish, nor is it in development at this time. The other comment is Vernon is in Washington County, so thank you for that.
My mistake. I'm sorry about that. I knew that was in, we have been to the town of Vernon and
yes,
have loved going there, so my apologies on that. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk just briefly about the matrix suite, and then we're going to actually go out on the website. Because we've talked now for some time that there's an electronic matrix and linked activities, etc. And these have been, again, being worked on for some time. So during 2019-20, this matrix is being provided on the IPDAE website with resource activities to this linked to the cells. And what I love about this matrix is it's really going to remove the hassle of having to figure out what aligns with what for those of us in the classroom. And it's going to provide us with simple, selectable criteria options that make finding those results really, really easy. You know, I didn't know about you, but sometimes when I look at some of the different objectives out there, I go, okay, I see what this objective says, but what in the world does it mean? And bottom line is, what would it look like in an activity or a teaching strategy? So for each of these wonderful little boxes on the matrices, what you're going to be seeing is slowly but surely the addition of what we call activity resources. And those activity resources are all going to look similar to this one that provides us with the concept of what we should be teaching, with practice activities that we can use in the classroom, of course with some answer keys. I always love the fact that I have an answer key when I'm working just to make sure I got the right answer. And then, of course, with some additional resources as needed or as necessary, or sometimes just as things will go, hey, think about this one because this is also a great idea. Besides the activity resources that you're going to see this year, you'll also notice that we have something called an Individualized Instructional Student Plan. And these are, again, another great resource for you to use in the classroom because each of these plans is aligned to the Tabe, EMDA, and of course the academic area, be it ABE math, etc. These particular plans are not available to everyone yet because right now they are going through a pilot testing. And so once they get through those pilot testing, I think you'll find this, again, a great resource to use with their students or with your students so they can see not only what kinds of things they need to master to move forward, but also that they can see the things that they have mastered. It's a great teaching tool, and it's a great tool to work with students so that, again, they can see what they've done and where they need to go. So 2 wonderful things that we'll be seeing this upcoming year more and more of. But as we said, the electronic matrices has been around for a while, and just kind of in those beginning stages and in paper, pencil format, so to speak. So we are going to basically present for the very first time during this webinar how you're going to access all of this. So June, how about let's talk about it and then let's go live.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to talk to you, we're really excited about this electronic curriculum matrices. Think about it like an online lookup tool that will dynamically return information to you, resources that are correlated with the Florida Adult Education curriculum frameworks. And we use this word a lot, but taking the hassle out of figuring out what goes with what. So I think that you're going to find that this will provide you with a simple criteria option that will make it finding this really very easy. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to the IPDAE website, and we'll take you there and we'll kind of like walk you through how this would look. So you're at the home page now of the IPDAE website. There's multiple ways that you can get this curriculum framework. You can get it at the top of the page through the resources. But I want to draw your attention, yeah, thanks, Bonnie. I want to draw your attention to this in the know, where we have highlighted it as new and an online lookup tool. So if you could go ahead and click the online lookup tool, this is going to take you right into the matrices. Now, the first one that will be launched is the math. So, you know, we have matrices types. You see them at the bottom. You have the math, the reading, the language arts, and the GED. We provided those there to you, so if you want to download them, print them, put them on phone boards, you can do it. But for now, this electronic matrices will be launching the ABE mathematic curriculum matrices. So when you see that you go over to that button and you try to get to the other ones, it's going to stop you, that little down button to the right, because only right now the ABE mathematics curriculum matrix is there. Okay, the second thing that you're going to do is you are now going to select a domain. So Bonnie, you can pick any domain that you want to pick. Okay, so Bonnie, are you going to pick numbers in operation? You can
yes, I'll start at the beginning.
Now selected that. You notice that the selections automatically adjust to the filter and display valid options based on what your previous selection is. So you chose math, you chose number of operations. The next thing that you're going to do is you are going to select the level, the NRS level of this number and operations domain. So what are you selecting, Bonnie? 1?
Well, first of all, June, I know under number operations that there's more than NRS level 1 and NRS level 2. Why
Yeah.
can't I select from 3 and 4?
You can select whatever one you want. Which one are
But
you
why aren't 3 and 4 there?
Oh, well, I don't know, Bonnie. Select 2 for now.
Because we've not populated 3 and 4 yet. That's coming later in 2019-20.
All right, let's go to NRS level 2 here. Or
Whoops,
1.
I went to 1, sorry.
Okay, 1, that's fine. 1 is fine too. Okay, you see when Bonnie then populated that NRS level 1, you see that the selections here give you all the standards there. And then that activity resource that Bonnie spoke about earlier, you want to click one, Bonnie, you can show them what that would do. So now this is going to automatically display that activity resource for you. Now know that this activity resource is developed by practitioners in Florida. It's all homegrown. It's not, there's no vendor relationship to books or anything like this. This is definitely made by experts in the field of adult education, practitioners who are serving in adult education. So pretty much, I think that this resource really takes the guesswork out of teaching for all these different level skills and makes it a lot easier to manage the curriculum frameworks. Would you like to add anything to that, Bonnie?
I think this is going to be just a marvelous tool as you start playing around with it and using the resources, as well as all of these resources that are going to be added to it. And note that when you're going through these different resources, specifically when you get to reading, you're going to see texts that are written at NRS levels 1, 2, 3, 4. Very appropriate. The same way when you're looking at the concepts, you'll notice that the big concepts are bolded. So you will have those kinds of things as well. And worksheets that you can print and use in the classroom. Again, an app, it's going to be a monster of a resource for those of us who are teaching in the classroom, but there again, something that has been in the makings, has been in the creative process, but we hope that you find it as usable as those folks who have done some of the initial trials with it have. So, June, I think this one's extremely exciting.
And Bonnie, in the chat box, we do have a question that says, we have found that there is not a whole lot of practice material that aligns with Tabe 11 and 12. Do you know if any new material to support 11 and 12 will be developed? So great question, because this is why this was developed. So we're hoping that this will, assist practitioners with resources.
Can I answer that question a little more fully?
Sure.
Yes, we agree that there's not a lot of materials out. We had a lot of things that were just the study guides for Tabe 910, and that was it. They were basically test prep kinds of materials. And some companies have already put out some of those. So you do, if you'll notice, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head, New Readers Press, I believe Harcourt has put something out. But most of the companies felt like they already had those materials because their ABE materials were developed, the new ones were developed based upon the college career readiness standards. So because they had done those a number of years ago when career readiness standards came out, they didn't feel a need to do lots of new materials, with the exception of some test prep stuff out there. So yes, there are test prep things. And June, it may be good just to kind of identify a few things and maybe put it as a in the know topic in the very near future.
Yeah, there are some resources out there that have aligned, and they have correlations too, so yes, that they can use. So yeah, we can we can put up something like that.
And if you will go to the workshops on the IPDAE website, last year we did a fall workshop of what's new with Tabe 11 and 12. If you'll go to that workshop, you will see some alignments that have been put out by some of the publishers. So that's another great resource for you to access. Again, just go onto the IPDAE website, go under the ABE workshops, and click into what's new with Tabe 11 and 12.
And this is great because this is going to segue into a new focus that we have for 1920, Bonnie. So let's go back to the PowerPoint, and okay, so we are going to have, let's talk about Tabe 11 and 12. As you know, the certification now is coming through IPDAE with Tabe 11 and 12. You have a recertification module that is up. You have a how to administer module that's out there, which is where you get your certification. And you have the how to interpret the individual profile report. Now, do know that DRC is always updating these things. So I know that the profile report is being updated, so we'll have another module that will address that when we get the content, okay? But what I want to bring to your attention is this Tabe Help Center. So what we're going to do is we're working on establishing a centralized hub for Tabe 11 and 12. So we will be reaching out to statewide Tabe advisors along with DRC, the Florida Department of Education, IPDAE. And this is where all of your concerns, your immediate concerns, are going to be all kind of funneled through this sort of help desk thing, because we want to address your concerns and try to find solutions for those as quick as we can. So this Help Desk Center Assistance Online Center for Tabe 11 and 12 will be coming to you soon through IPDAE. Now, you know that there's a lot of e-trainings out there with Tabe, with really a lot of different areas, but for Tabe 11 and 12, there's really no more face-to-face trainings from the state. So these benefits of the e-training, you don't have to worry about not getting a seat there, it removes restrictions due to scheduling and locations. It's a substantial cost reduction, and it ensures that there is consistency within what is being presented. Also in the e-trainings, you're going to find a multitude of other things that you can use, but I know that a lot of you have used these e-trainings. Remember that they're all self-paced modules, they're free, they're easy, they're in small digestible pieces, they're developed by subject matter experts in the field of adult education. It's a great professional development recertification resource for you. The certificate comes automatically to you. It's great for new teachers who are entering into adult education that may not know about certain things that are how it operates. And it could be just to brush up on some things that maybe we have forgotten. Yes, the in-service qualification requirements are at the discretion of each district. So we do get that question a lot, and we don't award the points. We're the resource center providing it for you. Here's a look at some of the e-training catalog things that you'll find. So for more information on the types of modules available, make sure that you sign up for a portal account on Florida IPDAE, and that's where you're going to access this e-training catalog.
Okay, June, but there's even more in 2019-20 coming your way. Speaking of portals, in 2019-20, the administrators portal is also going to be updated. Sometimes we talk so much about our instructional staff that maybe we forget that we also have the administrative leaders. And so just know that IPDAE is not just for instructors, it's also for all of you out there who are administrators as well. And that portal, be on the lookout how it's updated.
Yeah, Bonnie, we're working on implementing a portal accessible report for that administrator level user. And so it's really going to be a great tool for them to gain some data reports and certification, you know, people who have taken the Tabe and all that. So stay tuned, because I think for an administrator, this is going to be a great enhancement.
Wonderful. Before we go to the last couple slides, we have one more question, and it does regard the Tabe, and the comment, I should say, is that someone's had NRS level students take and pass the GED, and it does imply that the Tabe 11-12 is more rigorous than the GED. Not necessarily. Just realize that at this point, there's a couple things that happen. First of all, the GED is a credentialing test, and so it does assess different things. But the other thing, and I've learned this over time, is whatever test our students take is merely what they do at one point in time. So you may have students who, yes, they've gotten an NRS level on the Tabe, but their skills are a little different. Different question types do things a little differently. But when you're looking at the GED test, you will notice that some of the standards for the test to do just the basic passing go everywhere from basically, they're really NRS levels 4 all the way through 6. So there again, depending upon whether students just pass or pass with college career readiness skills, the GED test was really normed on high school graduating seniors. And we all know that high school graduating seniors have skills everywhere from the lowest level, so to speak, to the highest level. So there again, that statement can be true some of the time, isn't true all the time. It's just one of those things you have to look at how tests are developed and based upon what criteria. But I will tell you, I do believe the new assessments coming out having to be aligned to the college career readiness standards are definitely much more stringent and are going to be a better assessment tool for us to use as we look where our students go, be it GED, workplace, etc. So definitely a more challenging test. So as we finish up today, just a couple things we want to share with you, because there are a lot of IPDAE resources out there. And what we want to make sure folks do is, so that you get the best usage out of all those IPDAE resources, think about attending those face-to-face workshops. I know we're in a digital world, but there's times that just having that face-to-face, the camaraderie with our fellow instructors, as well as camaraderie with the subject matter experts, and being able to get that information can be extremely a positive. Also enroll in some of those e-learning modules. We've had questions at IPDAE about, have you done this, this, and this? And some of them are very introductory skills to adult education, and those e-modules can be a great place to learn those kinds of things. Please try out those matrices and some of those resource activities in this upcoming year. See what works for you. See how they can be made better. And of course, we want everyone to participate in appropriate webinar Wednesdays. It's just a way to keep you going and to keep you interacting with other folks. There continue to be videos that are online from Florida IPDAE. Some of them are very appropriate to use with your students, some as a resource for you as the teacher. Lots and lots of resources, everything from career exploration in the ESOL classroom to the GED teacher handbook. If you have not seen those things, take a look at it. The other thing is visit that site regularly, because IPDAE continually adds things as they go on. And of course, sometimes we delete things that no longer are current enough to stay there. The other thing is, if you've got questions, if you have information, please contact the IPDAE staff. They really are always there to assist you, from the online contact form that's on the IPDAE site to email support, and of course they're always available via phone as well. So join the email list, take a look at the Twitter account, access those videos, those webinars on YouTube. It's all about sharing. So having said that, we hope that today you've seen at least one or two things that you go, oh, wow, I'm looking forward to seeing more on that, or I look forward to attending that one in 2019-20, because again, IPDAE really is all about you, the educator, and making sure that this state-sponsored site has something for each and every one of you, from those of you who are professional support staff, literacy staff, adult education instructors, to administrators and program managers. IPDAE needs to be your resource. So having said that, before we leave you today, we would like to have a just quick response to a survey. We promise it will only take a couple seconds of your time. You should see it on your page right now. So if you'll just click the answers to that, please. And as you're finishing that up, June and I would like to thank you very, very much for being with us today. Please join us for the next webinar next week. And again, it will be, Do You See What I Mean? Visual Literacy in a Digital World. Thank you again, and have a wonderful rest of the day.